But now we get into our big stories, MFA.
Well, of course, the NDC accuses the NPP of criminality in Ablekuma North parliamentary elections, which has left the constituency in limbo 6 months after the 2024 general elections. This follows a march by the minority to present a petition to the IGP demanding him to provide security for the declaration of the results. We are asking, is this another SAL in the making? We'll hear from the parties, but also we shall be joined by who is supposed to be having this conversation and bringing clarity to this, Benjamin. A little later, we will be joined by Mustafa Bande, Deputy Director. Well, we've got him on the line, Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency. Mustafa, good morning. It's good to have you on the show this morning. So yesterday, we saw the minority marching to petition the IGP to provide security for the collation of the Ablekuma North constituency. And one big question everybody's asking, when we talk of Ablekuma, we're also asking about SAL. Is this another SAL in the making? But what do you make of the constituency generally not being represented 6 months into the year?
Good morning, and thank you to your beautiful self and my friend Kapo for having me. First and foremost, I think that it's a travesty of justice, denial of representation, orchestrated by the Electoral Commission as a result of incompetence and lack of personal responsibility and will to conduct, supervise, declare credible elections. We had elections since December. We've had issues with collation. The Electoral Commission have gone to places with collated results, declared same. Out of compromises, the NDC have let some of the issues go. In the issue of Ablekuma North, is the offense of the electoral rules, CI 127, the Electoral Commission knows that in collation of results, uncarbonated, we use carbonated pink sheets, which is given to all political parties after counting of results at the various polling stations, which is used for collation. Under no circumstance, the CI 127, which guides the Electoral Commission in its work, has not contemplated on the use of electronically transmitted pink sheets by any of the parties. In this present matter, the Electoral Commission wants us to believe that in the absence of carbonated pink sheets from all political parties as a result of the clashes that occurred, we in the NDC, the people of Ablekuma North, who have voted, strongly and highly, vehemently for our candidate, should accept that the Electoral Commission and the MPP should declare an election on the basis of, an electronically transmitted pink sheet, scanned copies, for which we don't know where they got from. And the Electoral Commission knows it. Recently, the Electoral Commission went into hiding. The NDC had a meeting with the Electoral Commission at an IPAC meeting, made follow-up to the Electoral Commission. Electoral Commission failed to respond, only to go into public to lie that the police are the ones delaying the declaration of Ablekuma North in the absence of a discussion with the political parties. At the back of this, we all know that Sribo Kweku was the officer of the Electoral Commission who supervised the activities of all the recollation that occurred. Today, the Electoral Commission is telling the people of Ghana that Sribo Kweku does not have the capacity to represent them in that matter, for whatever he said should be disregarded. That is not true. They went and accused the police, and then we went to the police and explained the matter. And we all agreed that the Electoral Commission should organize an IPAC meeting involving the MPP and all other political parties so that we revisit the law, CI 127, so that we audit the process, We audit the pink sheet. We audit every single item that will be used to verify whether or not we can proceed with a declaration or we will go and reorganize a fresh election as a result of the things that have occurred. Jim Mensah is unwilling to follow the law. I am quite surprised that yesterday, members of minority, who themselves, most of them are lawyers, decide to go and, match themselves to the IGP, forcing the IGP to provide security for declaration. But to say that this will not happen because we in the NDC will not allow this criminality, this illegality, fester to be allowed to take place in this country to deny the people of Ablekuma North a member of parliament. And so again, it only speaks to deliberate incompetence, the incapability of Jim Mensah and her team to give Ghanaians, both the MPP, NDC, and other political parties, a credible and unquestionable, a class-worthy electioneering process. That is the crux of the issue now. When at the center, the referee is not competent, when at the center, the referee is not capable, when at the center, the referee is one-sided, then we have all these issues. But the MPP minority will not be used as a window to coerce anybody to perpetuate an illegality against the people of Ablekuma North.
What specifically is the NDC asking for? A rerun?
We have asked the EC to do a simple thing. Don't meet the NDC alone. Call a meeting with all other stakeholders. Let us argue, let us interrogate, let us debate, let us audit the process, because we know that you cannot collate an election using electronically scanned pink sheets rather than carbonated pink sheets. Even so, these pink sheets that EC is seeking to rely on were provided by the MPP, not the NDC. How can we be declaring an election on the basis of MPP's, pink sheets electronically, when the people whose signatures appear on those pink sheets, most of them have now come to deny that it is not their signature on the pink sheet.
Okay.
And so if you are, confronted with this kind of confusion by the Electoral Commission, your guess is good as mine that clearly there is no an election to be declared. Clearly, it is going to be chaotic. Clearly, the Electoral Commission is at the center of the confusion again with incompetence and unwilling to follow the law.
Okay.
With inconsistencies and using the police as trying to blame the police by not taking responsibility for what they have done. So we are asking the Electoral Commission, let us go back to the drawing board. Let us sit and discuss. When we had the previous IFAC meeting, there were a litany of issues that we raised in that meeting. Those issues were sent to the Electoral Commission to provide answers. The Electoral Commission never did, only to run to the police to ask for protection to go and declare the results. We also wrote to the IGP, notifying the IGP on the development at the back of this irregularity. The IGP then informed the Electoral Commission to engage all political parties and revert. What is the role, what is the responsibility of minority groups in Parliament, 88 members of Parliament, against 100 and something, going to work to present a petition? It's needless, it's uncalled for, it's an exercise in futility. Again, they think they can use, this level of machoism whereas the NDC to accept an illegality. It's not going to happen.
Okay. Please hold the phone for me, as we've just been joined as well by Evans Nimako, Director of Elections, NPP. Evans, thank you for joining us. You have heard Mustafa, and of course, you also by now know that the minority marched to the IGP petitioning him for security for the collation of the results. This morning, as of this morning, where does the NPP stand on this Ablekuma North constituency matter?
Well, thank you very much for having me, and good morning to your listeners, viewers, and to General Mustafa. I think we all need to calm down and approach the issues as they are. We have had a very successful presidential election. But strangely, the EC declared the presidential results without Ablekuma North. In the same way, as we speak, we've not been able to conclude on Ablekuma North parliamentary results. And we need to ask, what has been the cause? I'm happy Mustafa mentioned illegality, irregularity, and all that. But this is a case that has traveled even up to the Supreme Court for a certain directions to be given. On the 4th of January 2025, the High Court gave specific orders to the Electoral Commission and to the Ghana Police Service, which chairs the Election Security Task Force that supervised the conduct of the general elections in December 7, 2024. If you engage MPP NDC, this banter will not stop. What has been the orders of the court? The EC should go back and collect results of all the 281 polling stations and declare the winner for the parliamentary election. We've had a situation where the EC has called parties involved, MPP, NDC, and you, the media, have been there. The police have been there. For all those times that the EC invited us, a certain gentleman keep on, really to undermine the whole exercise. I think that at this point, you may have to call the EC and get the returning officer. And we shouldn't run away from this. The Evidence Act, the Electronic Transaction Act, all support that you can use an electronic form of a document. And when the lawyers file their processes, don't they ask photocopies? We, when we're done with the elections and we're issued with our pink sheets from all the 281 polling stations, we scan them. So when some people thought that they were destroying pink sheets, they will have their way, they wouldn't. So far, the EC has collated all with the exception of 3 polling stations. The EC has told the public, we are ready to declare the results after adding the remaining 3. Let the police provide the necessary security, and we are ready to go. The New Patriotic Party has met with the IGP and his commissioners. We are hoping that the EC will find time and invite us for this exercise to be concluded. If NDC has any issue, they better go to court and challenge the decision, the ruling of the court on the 4th of January. Why do we have to be doing this to ourselves?
Okay. As Director for Elections for the NPP, as of yesterday or after the march to the IGP yesterday, or maybe as we speak this morning, have you heard anything at all from the Electoral Commission? Because, of course, they are the biggest in the center of this. We cannot continue to engage NDC, NPP, as you have rightly said. It will be just a matter of banter again. But as Director, have you engaged the Electoral Commission? What have they been saying is the way forward?
Yeah, we are expecting to hear from both the police and the Electoral Commission. The exercise by the minority leadership. It's not out of place as Alhaji Mustafa or General Mustafa wants to put it. The parliament is supposed to be membership of 276. If you have 275, it means it's not complete. It's not complete. And it is important that we approach this issue with all the seriousness it requires. Because how can we have a constituency without representation? More so when the constituency participated in the electoral exercise. they voted. But what is strange is that on the day of collation, some individuals decided to cause mayhem. I expect that the police will do the needful, investigate and let those people face the law. We can't sit and people will have their way, that it lies in their mouth to say whatever they want to say, do whatever they want to do, and then they have to go away without
Evans and Marco, so on this beat, I think we've spoken about this before and the blame game about which parties people were there. But you say you've interacted with the EC. In fact, Mustafa Gbande, on the other end, he has been lampooning the EC in this. You are commending the EC. So obviously, you are not on the same page on that. But after all these... But you say that, I mean, at least they have called you, you have had, interactions with them on the back of Ablekuma North and all of that. So they are not technically to blame.
We've met at IPAC. How am I commending them?
No, you are saying that...
Right.
Okay, so you are not commending the EC.
At IPAC.
It ends at IPAC. Is that what you're saying?
IPAC. And we went to court, and the court gave orders.
Oh, okay. Right. On the back of these meetings, what have the results been? We still don't have, what it takes to declare one of them winner as of now. Now, you're saying that the police must intervene, on the back of which you had this march yesterday. Specifically, why do you think the onus lies on the police?
I mean, I've mentioned it, my brother. I said that the court orders were too easy to get the work done. Was for the police to provide security. And without that, how can it be done successfully? And I'm saying that when we had collation on December 7th, the challenges that came were perpetrated by some individuals. And I'm saying that the media, you covered it. The police were there. Why haven't they effected any arrest?
That question has been posed by both sides. And as for that one, we can leave to the Ghana Police Service. My question had to do then with why you think the police service, because on this bit about providing security, I have heard, as well, claims from the Ghana Police Service in respect of their readiness to provide same. That is why I keep scratching my head in respect of who has to make the move. Is it the EC? Is it the political parties? Is it the Ghana Police Service? Let me put that question as well to Mustafa Gbande.
Before you go to Mustafa, please, before you go to Mustafa, I mentioned that we have met the IGP and his commissioners. Assurances have been given. We are waiting to hear from them.
You are waiting to hear from them?
Yes, please.
Okay. Hold for me. Mustafa Gbande, how do you react to that? You've been saying that the EC itself has not lived up to expectation. Is it the EC's fault, or is it maybe, does it lie at the door of other institutions?
This matter, both the NDC and the MPP are interested parties. And so none of us will be blamed at this point. If we have a competent, ready electoral commission who is willing to uphold its own laws, we shouldn't be having this discussion. And let me also inform my brother that we have also on ourselves met the IGP. We have explained, because you were supposed to be part of that meeting, but your leadership couldn't make it. Even though we had insisted that the meeting should be rescheduled until you were present. We proceeded and we told the IGP our side of the story, and he agreed.
He agreed to what?
They agreed at that day that we're going to go back with the Electoral Commission to have a discussion with stakeholders and to align with the law. And so the police, I don't think, will be used as a rubber stamp to perpetuate the illegality alongside with the interests of the MPP. My brother, senior brother knows.
Which illegality would that be?
He knows that you can't use scanned copies of pink sheets that you brought from either heaven or Israel as part of elections other than carbonated pink sheets. He knows that. Okay, particularly when it is not coming from the Electoral Commission. He's very much aware of that. So I'm shocked that today the MPP is calling for arrest of those who perpetrated, a mess up of electoral materials. If that is the conversation we want to have, then we should go back and have that conversation. But we, the NDC, are calling for an aligned discussion, which includes the MPP, for us to sit and agree with the modalities. The modalities which should have been contemplated within CI 127, my brother knows that, but we cannot manufacture new laws to declare Ablekuma North election. We can have another.
We'll talk about those new laws, and of course we cannot
and
have.
Let me say that when he talks about these disturbances at the election, he was in government at the time. Why didn't they effect arrest? Because it suited them at the time. They were in government. They were fully in charge of the state security. Why didn't they save all of us the trouble by arresting all the people who did that thing? Today he wants to blame. And then number two, if you have brought out a pink sheet reporting that somebody has signed, and the individual comes out to say that this is not my signature, would you say that he is acting to undermine the process? Must somebody accept a signature that is not his? We should be frank with ourselves and go back to
the question could also be asked about, Evans, let me do this, please. I'll come to you. The question could also be asked about whether these people did sign and later said they did not sign. That's also because
I believe that
nobody was there.
My brother is experienced in election, even more than the electoral commissioner we have.
Right.
My senior brother, Dr. Omanibu Ama, and his deputies, who engage more, are competent to deal with the issues. Let's go back to the drawing board. We can still guide the electoral commission, even in the absence of experience. We can guide the electoral commission as both parties that have interest agree on the matter, agree and align the modalities with the law, so that we can proceed from there. If it is the case that upon audit and perusing, we come to the conclusion that yes, the processes are aligned, we proceed. If we come to the conclusion that, look, on this basis, there's nothing to declare, let's go back and do a fresh election, it is also something we can agree.
All right.
But to go and be using minorities as a window of demonstrators and oppressors, it doesn't have a place in our electoral laws.
MFA will take on Evans on those, because I think that would be a way of moving the conversation forward. But I just have a quick intervention. You spoke about the Electoral Commission, and you've mentioned it twice. That's why I have to bring it up. You said they were incompetent and all of that. And you say if they were competent and ready, would be able to move the conversation forward. In all of this process, what makes the EC incompetent and unready? What is it about?
Number one, if you have a willing, able, and capable electoral commission, the law is the law and is the law. What is not the law cannot be contemplated in the conversation. I have never seen an election where, scanned pink sheets becomes part of election, other than what is stated in the law. And the law states that we should use carbonated pink sheets. My brother Evans will agree with me that in this discussion, we are talking about scanned copies they brought to the table. And Siribo Okweku will also attest to that fact. And so if materials that are foreign and cannot be accepted in our electoral process are being introduced, an able electoral commission to disregard those and stick to the law. Number two, do you know that in the last 4 months or 5 months or up to 6 months, if the electoral commission was ready to engage, to take the work seriously, would have gone past this conversation. But till today, as we speak, we even have places where even assembly elections are yet to be held in this country. In this country. And we are at this conversation because both the MPP, even though they are in bed with the EC, Ghanaians in general do not trust that
Did you just say the MPP is in bed with the EC? Did you just say that?
Of course, because you see, proprietarily, my brother Evans and his party have interest. That is why they will go and sit down, manufacture pink sheets.
But that is not a fair comment to make. You can't prove that comment.
I saw them. The pink sheets, I saw them. There are disputes. Persons who have purported to have signed are saying they didn't sign those pink sheets.
My brother, don't allow this. Don't allow this, please. It doesn't help. It's not healthy for this conversation. It's not healthy for us.
Evans, you just saw me correcting. You just heard me correcting.
Okay.
Mustafa.
Let's engage. Let's move this conversation further, Mr. Nimako. So on the 4th of January, when the court decided that the EC should go and collate, did it take note of all the other means which they will collate? Did the court agree on the legal means to which the pink sheets will be collated? Or it left that as well to the discretionary powers of the Electoral Commission? I mean, I ask this question because, let me premise the question. I ask this question because you are going strictly by what the court decided. And then Mr. Bundy as well is suggesting that, listen, there are nuances to the declaration and the collation. So let's sit down and discuss. I ask the question, what are we discussing when the court has decided? Then I ask you, then, when the court decided, did it take notice of all the reasons why, in fact, you were in court?
The court did that. The court said, out of the 281 polling stations, you were left with 62 to complete the collation. Go and get it done as Electoral Commission. Ghana Police Service, who chaired the Election Security Task Force, ensure that you provide enough security necessary for the EC to conclude the exercise. Let me make the point. The new Patriotic Party is not in bed with the Electoral Commission. This same Electoral Commission pronounced and announced the presidential results. This same Electoral Commission have gotten election conducted in 275 constituencies that have certain members of parliament. Now, we are left with Ablekuma North, and we must approach it with respect. We, the new Patriotic Party, made copies of all the 281 polling station parliamentary results that were given. When the court gave orders and the EC started working, the pin sheets we provided were all collaborated by the NDC agents and the EC officials.
That is not true.
We did not manufacture any pin sheets. And all of those have been done with the exception of 3. NDC, knowing that they don't have the numbers, is now bringing new issues here and there. In the midst of the game,
Evans, a quick intervention. Please indulge me here. Please indulge me briefly. Mustafa says some of those people who claim to have signed on now say they did not, in fact, sign that. Where do we take that from there, then?
Hold on. So at the point, the returning officer invited some of the presiding officers. And I can confirm, one gentleman said that all the writings on the sheet were from him, but the signature is not from him. One out of the 62. One. So please, let's find out from the EC, the returning officer, who is mandated to complete the whole collation exercise. Let's find out from him. If he's saying the presiding officer says they did not sign, how many of them? I'm saying one person in front of the media, the police, parties,
right,
said to complete the collation. I mean, how can in the midst of the game, parties want to develop new rules for conduct of an exercise like this?
Mustafa, I know you have any final thoughts. In the next 30 seconds, let's do that and wrap up the conversation. Mustafa.
His candidate accepted the results even before the Electoral Commission would declare. So when he says the same Electoral Commission, I don't understand. When there is an overwhelming defeat, you accept. Your candidate accepted. Now, we are calling for simple. You agree on this discussion that even though the court have directed that the Electoral Commission should go and complete the exercise, the modalities of same, the forum is IPAC. Let's go back to IPAC and discuss details so that we can faction out these your pink sheets that you have scanned. We don't know where it's coming from. So that we can discuss this into detail. That is all we are saying.
All right.
The court didn't direct that we should go and use a modified CI 127 to declare that resource. The court asked the Electoral Commission to go and complete the exercise. Now, the modalities have to be discussed. We have to agree and align same with CI 127. Stop inviting the police to perpetuate and join you in an illegality you have for private interest in.
Right. I think your thoughts have been very well established. All we are hoping for is that Ablekuma North will not turn into another SAL. We don't want that situation. MFA, I mean.
Yeah, of course. Of course, I don't want another SAL. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. We've been talking to Mustafa Bandi, Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency, and as well Evans Nemoko, Director of Elections, NPP, as well. Now, you're still watching the AM show, and are you looking for a home in a prime location? Nestor's Homes has got you covered. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes and social amenities. Off-plan prices start at $35,000. You can contact 053-101-4440. Of course, the 4 is 3. And 053-101-4447. You can also visit the website www.nestus.com.gh.
Well, let's talk water tanks. I'm sure you know the real secret to water storage. And if you don't, let me tell you, it's silly simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. And guess what? It is strong. It is durable. It is built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So rain or shine, Syntex tank has your back. So let's engage in this exercise. Please step outside your room. If you check and your tank doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Here's all you have to do. Call this number, 0244 335 168. To buy now, you can also find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough. We'll be right back with more action right here on the AM show.